So, proceeding what we learned yesterday about rasters, we are going to do similar things today. We are going to follow similar steps. Okay, so that will be similar, not the same. And we are going to learn about vector data formats. So let's start unraveling the mysteries of data types and formats loading. Okay, so that we can complete our first map in QGIS using vectors, because we already have loaded rasters, delimited text, or any CSV file. Now we want vectors to complete our map. Yes. So let's first answer, why do we even need vectors when we already have rasters, right? So if we already have one format, why do we need another format, vectors? So do you remember yesterday's map? It was something like this. um, this one. Okay, this one, or let's take another example. Yeah, this one. Yeah. So it is this is called napkin cartography. Okay, so cartography is the art of making maps, and a person made a map, a napkin, so it's called napkin cartography. So here one person is telling his friend or another person about the location of his house. Okay, so this is it says that this is my house, and he started drawing this model. Okay, so this is a kind of a model on a napkin to show the access, how a person can access way from his home to school. Okay, so this is a school and this is a house, right? So why then? I mean, why we are discussing even this? So what he did, he started generalizing. Of course, the river doesn't have this shape, right? But he had some shape of river in like back of his mind, and he started generalizing these features, like let's say this river and the location of his house and some road. Okay, so this is a road and a bridge, etc. And in the process, he also generalized and um projected his location, right? Projected his location. So maybe he is somewhere here. Okay, so he's here. He projected his location with respect to this house and this school. And so what exactly he is doing, he actually chose the vectors. Okay, so these things that he started that he drew to generalize the actual features on the earth's surface, he used these vectors. So these such features are called vectors, to show his house as polygon, his location as a point, and river and road as lines. Okay, so now of course this is the easier way to tell someone about some idea that you have in your mind. Okay, suppose if you want to build a house, then you want to show, okay, so there is one plot and this is my plot. You draw all these things at first. But what if I ask, or his friend asked him, that can you explain or can you draw this particular drawing in the form of rasters? So when we say raster, first thing come to our mind is the pixels, right? Is the pixels. So now the task will be difficult, right? It will be harder for a person A to explain all these things in the form of rasters. Why? Because to draw this river, he has to start using these grids and pixels, right? This is what rasters look like. But even after drawing in raster format, in grids or in pixels format, nothing is clearly visible. Can you say that this is a bridge? No. Okay, can you say this is a river? But yeah, but by color you can say. But this doesn't give us any idea about the actual land features. Okay, first, of course, now, I mean, what do you think, which is better for such representation? Of course, vectors. Okay, when you want to, so the gist is, when you want to represent the real world features of the earth, okay, in your work, then you want to use vectors, because they are easy to draw and easy to represent. Okay, and suppose you all have made the biology in diagrams in your school level. Then if when you are and I know most of us have done this, that we are not able to draw the diagram of heart, because heart or brain, it is very difficult to draw, right? So what we will do, we will take a tracing sheet and we'll start tracing it. So at the time of tracing, did you just drew the line, or you made each and every pixel of that particular diagram? We just trace the outline. Okay, so when we are tracing something of the actual land features, then then the format that is which is called as vectors. Okay, that is what vectors are. Okay, so this is exactly why you need vectors. And of course, now you know the answer. So when you need rasters and when you need vectors. Okay, and why do we need even vectors to represent the real world feature? Okay, so having this understanding, now let's understand what is vector. Okay, so vector data in geographic information system represents your geographic features using points, lines, and polygons. These features represent all the real world features in the world. Okay, suppose if you want to draw, if you want to extract the road, then you're going to use lines. Okay, so in the same way, polygons and polylines for different features. So they are the building blocks. You can see they are the building blocks of our digital world. Okay, without them, vectors, vectors or digital data won't be possible. And vectors have vertices and paths. So for example, in the same way, rasters had pixels and grids. Okay, vectors are made up of vertices and paths. We will see how they look like. Okay, and vector feature has its shape represented using geometry. So by geometry, it means it will have some spatial information. Okay, it will have some geographic information. So geometry is made up of one or more interconnected vertices. When a geometry consists of only single vertex, it is referred to as point. Okay, when it will have only one vertex, it will be a point feature. So it has, when these two single vertexes are joined by a line, it is the feature that will form, that will be called as polyline. Okay, and polygon, of course, it should be a enclosed feature. Okay, so when or let's say in the technical terms, when three or more vertices are present and the last vertex is equal to the first means it meets at the position where first vertex is. So it will, of course, it will enclose the area, and that enclosed area will be called as polygon. Okay, so now how vectors they look like. Okay, so or what real life real world features are represented by all these vectors. So points are individual x and y locations. You always indicate your locations by using points. You cannot indicate your location by a line. Okay, so center point of, suppose for example, your center point of plot locations, tower locations, sampling locations, or yesterday we used our district locations. Okay, so here we used our district locations, using point features. Okay, and lines composed of many vertices or points that are connected. Okay, see, these two vertices, when they are connected, they form a line, right? So this is what is called as polyline. And polygons, three or more vertices that are connected and closed. Of course, you represent your building boundaries or any sort of boundaries that enclose an area. Okay, and they form the polygons. Okay, and now what are the advantages of vectors? The resolution of vectors remain the same, but when you try to zoom in to a raster image, it gets resolved into your pixels. Okay, so vectors doesn't give you that pixelated feel, right? So vector data, it remains same as when resized, and you can export it to any size. But when you convert your vectors or the map that you have prepared using vectors into JPEG format, of course JPEG format is your raster format, then of course it will become a raster, and you will be able to resolve its pixels, right? So making them suitable for a wide variety of printed formats, right? So it gives higher geographic accuracy because data isn't dependent on the grid size. Because if the grid size is 30 meter by 30 meter, so the maximum resolution is 30 meters, and be like less than that there won't be any accuracy. But this doesn't happen in vectors. Okay, and vector data can represent real world features with greater accuracy and detail than raster data. Let's say this is a river which has its original shape is like this. So when you when you use the pixels, okay, when you use the pixels to represent this boundary, so it will be square in shape. Okay, so these squares will not show you the exact curve it is following. Okay, but vectors can, you can digitize, or you can create the digital copy of the river in using the or you can maintain the curvature of the river using vectors. Okay, so that's why your rasters do not give you the accuracy as your vectors can give. Okay, and of course it has many applications in routing, geocoding, and urban planning and ecology. Okay, so these are some of the advantages of using rasters. And so when should we, next question is that when should we use rasters and when should we use vector features? So before you decide on this, you have to ask yourself few questions. So do you want to first question will be, do you want to work with pixels or coordinates? If you want to work with pixels, go with the raster data. If you want to work with the coordinates, go with the vector data. And what is your map scales? Vectors can scale objects up to the size of billboard. Okay, very small size it can resolve, but you don't have get that type of flexibility with the raster data. Do you have restrictions on file size? Raster file size can result in much larger, okay, in comparison with vector data sets with the same phenomenon and area. So both vector and raster data formats come with their own strengths and weaknesses, but here's the good news: you can easily convert your vector data to your raster data and vice versa. Okay, so this is what your introduction about vector data is. Let's go to our software and try to load our vector data. Okay, so yesterday, and I have given you the data set. Okay, so we are going to use our first method and we will start one by one. Okay, we are going to use all the methods again to add our layers so that you can revise it again. Go to layer, click on add layer, and click on add vector layer. Okay, so we are going to deal with three types of vector format today. Okay, and that will be shapefile, that will be geopackage, second will be geopackage, and third will be your KML. Okay, so shapefile have this .shp extension. Okay, so whenever you are loading shape files, please just use this one .shp. These are all its supporting files. Okay, and when you are working with shapefile, you should have these 1 2 3 4 5 6 files in your folder. Okay, make sure you have all these files, a projection file, dbf, and some index file and all these things. You should have all these files, then only your shape file will be supported by any GIS software. Okay, you cannot just go with this .shp extension. Suppose if you want to share these files with someone else, you have to share all of them together. Okay, so make a zip file of all these having all these files, and then share it with someone else. Okay, so after, so just click on this and click on open. Okay, and after that click on add and click on close. Okay, so this is the shape file of India physical boundary. If I want to zoom into the entire layer, I'll right click in the layers panel and then I'll click on the zoom to layers. Don't worry about the color. QGIS take it randomly. Okay, your color, the map, if you have loaded the same map in your workspace, you might get the map this in the different color. Okay, so don't worry about the color. You can always modify it. Okay, next way of loading data was by using this open data source manager directly, which is your data source manager toolbar. Okay, so click on it on the first icon, click on the vector data, click on these three dots, and let's for also get the here you see the extension is GPKG. Okay, so this is called geo package file. Okay, so I'll show you what is I'll tell you what is the advantage of using geo package file. Okay, so here you see this is the geo package file for the West Bengal. This is again a polygon. Okay, so the district boundaries of polygon, which I have shared in the form of geo package format. So they both have vector format, but the difference is in if you go to the folder, let's go to the folder in which I have shared you data. So if you will see here, so yeah, so can you see that your shape file have so many supporting files? Okay, and this is the 76 KB. But your geo package file, what it does, it geo package file is basically like a suitcase, okay, or your document file. You, when you go to an interview, you don't carry your individual document with you, right? So you pack this in some suitcase or in some file, then you travel to some other location, right? So that is what your geo package represents. So geo package, inside it has all this information on the projection, on the database, everything. It has got all the information. But it is this file, you should use this file when you want to transfer it to someone else. Okay, so when you want to share it with your boss or with your supervisor, then always use this geo package file. Okay, because in this case you just have to attach this one, but in case of shapefile you have to attach all these files together. Okay, so it is convenient to transfer from one person to another. Okay, now you should also know how you can export, you can change shape file into geo package when you want to, of course, transfer it to someone else, right? So this was our shape file, right? This is our shape file. So when you right click on it, you go to export, click on save feature as. Okay, so this is your ISRI shapefile. This is already in the format of ISRI shapefile. You click on this geo package here if you want to change it to another vector format. Okay, right? Then give it a file name. Let's say there it is. Okay, so India physical boundary. Okay, I'll use the same name but it will be in the another format. After that, click on save. And if you want, you can specify your geometry type. So it's a polygon. Okay, and after that, click on OK. So this is changed to geo package format. If you go back to our folder, now you will see the geo package format. Okay, so this is basic difference between geo package and your shape files. Okay, so next format that we mostly deal with is your KML. KML is your keyhole markup language. Okay, and this KML file, they are used by your Google Earth products. Okay, Google Earth Engine or Google Earth Pro, and or whatever Google Earth products are. Okay, so they are mostly used by Google Earth. But of course, you can load it in your GIS software as well. So that's why if you want to open this particular file in your Google Earth Pro, you have to change it to KML or KMZ format. Okay, so this is the thing. Now let's use our third option, third way of loading data, to load our KML file. You can interchange these ways of loading data. Okay, don't worry about it. It doesn't mean that, okay, you can only, load your India physical boundary using the first method. You can use this method, you can load this layer using the browser panel as well. Okay, I'm just telling you how many ways you can do that. Do the same thing. Okay, now because we have created our project home in, so that's why in project home we see this one. Okay, we see only DEM topo sheet. So now we have to shift our project home to the folder of our interest. Okay, so now let's do that. You can right click here, click on set project home. Okay, and let's select our vector data and click select folder. So now our project home is shifted to our vector data. Okay, now this is quite easy, just drag and drop it. Okay, so it will take some time. Yes, so this is how your when like you use any way, any of these ways to load your KML file, you will get this window. Okay, so here you have to select this and make sure you uncheck this here, add layers to a group. Otherwise your layer will be you will be converted into a group, and that is, I don't like that way. Or maybe if you like, then you can definitely opt for this option, but always make sure that you create your group on your own. Okay, don't let software prepare a group for you. So just select this layer, or if you have multiple layers here, multiple KML layers here, then click on select all. Okay, uncheck this box here and click on add layers. Okay, so let's say what we have got. So these are your, linear features. Okay, let's keep it. And these are all your rivers in West Bengal. Okay, so these are all your rivers in the West Bengal, and of course in the adjoining areas. Okay, so I have got this data using OpenStreetMap and using Quick OSM plugin. Okay, the one we discussed on our second day. So I hope you know how to do that. Okay, so these are the waterways. Your key will be waterways, and your value will be the rivers. Okay, so you will get this data using Quick OSM plugin. Right. So this is how your vector and your raster. So we have rasters here as well. Okay, and we have our CSV data. Okay, so your point data. So we can represent our entire world using these three features: point data, and your polygons, and your polylines. Okay, so this is a basic map or basic data loading that you should perform when you are working with your raster, vector, and spreadsheets. Okay, let's learn how we can convert this CSV into our shape file. Okay, for that, again, go to export, save feature as. Okay, you can choose any of these any of these formats here. Okay, so we have discussed GeoPackage, we have discussed history shapefile, and another format that we usually use is your KML. Okay, which is supported by Google Earth. Okay, so let's convert it into keyhole markup language. Again, you can use any of these formats. Okay, this is just for demonstration purpose. So here, click on these three dots, and let's say locations of districts. Okay, district. Click on save, and if you want to give it a symbology, then you can use a feature symbology or symbol layer symbology. Okay, whatever, or let's keep it no symbology, or I'll go with the feature symbology. Okay, fine. Okay, geometry type will be point, and you do not have to make any other changes. Click on OK. Okay, then if you want to add this layer again to your workspace, then click on add layers, otherwise click on cancel. Okay, so this should have been converted to this KML. So let's try opening in our Google Earth Pro. Okay, let's try to open this. Okay, so click on file and open. Let's go to our desired folder, and data sets, vector data. See, all these locations can be opened in your Google Earth Pro. Okay, so this is how your Google Earth, how you can convert your GIS data into, and you can open it into Google Earth. Okay, so I'll just discard it for now. Okay, so so this was the way how you load your data in using the files that are already stored in your computer. Okay, as I already told you in rasters, that there is another way of loading your features, loading your data using remote server, or using data on the internet using a WFS service. So it is a kind of a service. So let's use one of the WFS services, and let's get our data, let's get some vector data from the internet or from the remote server. You need a stable internet connection for this. So let's use our second method. Click on Open Data Source Manager. Okay, from in here you find this WFS OGC API features. Okay, so the way you do it is similar to the WMS that we have used yesterday, but here you have to create new connection in the same way. Let's give it a name, vectors, and I'm going to share this link with you. Okay, just go here. and let's see if it gets connected. Sometimes this website doesn't work properly, but this is a very good resource. Okay, so if it doesn't work right now, don't worry, that you have to keep trying. Okay, just type any country name. You have to give it some inputs. Okay, I'll just go with India. And here you see it has WMS service, WMTS services, S3 REST services. Okay, so it has got so many services inside this. Okay, so I'm going to remove WMS, WMTS, S3 REST, so that we don't get confused in the data. Okay, so now let's choose any of these. I'll go with this female literates Gujarat 2001 data. Okay, let's see how it looks like. Okay, so you go to any of those links, I think other than the first, you will get the list of data that this particular website provides you on vector. Okay, so you get water effects on ecosystem, which is your environment performance index according to 2010. Okay, so you get so much of data, so much of vector data using you get to LULC and informal settlement and 1982 data. Okay, just use whatever you want from this website, and for that what you have to do, you have to get this link, GeoServer Web Feature Services, get copy this link address. Okay, and come back here and just paste this, click on OK. After that, try clicking on this connect. I hope it will work. Yes. Okay, see, you have got a lot of data that is available in vector format. Okay, this is your India village level female literate 1991 2001 data. So let's download this, load this air quality data from 2005. Okay, and after that click on add. Okay, it's going to take some time because this is a data, global data, so you have to wait. Yeah, and let's minimize this. I'm not going to close it. So the layer has been added. Okay, so the layer is there, and just right click and click on zoom to layer. Yeah, so when you want to see what is there inside any of the vector layer or any of the raster layer, just right click on it and click on open attribute table. Okay, just get into its database. So this attribute table gives you the database. Okay, so click on open attribute table. So this ESI is called Environmental Sustainability Index. Okay, so it's going to take some time. I think it got loaded, and let me check its attribute table. Okay, so this is your Environment Sustainability Index 2005 air quality. Okay, for different countries. Now, this is our data which we are uh, interested in. You see, when we do not have data for particular region, they have given it some value like minus 9999. Okay, because you don't want to leave the things blank. So I think these values are not of our importance. They will be just like no data values that we have in raster. So let's try to see how we can use this data in our work. Now you see, all the layers, all the countries are covered in this pink color. Okay, now but we want to see the difference between the ESI or air quality of all these countries. Okay, among let's say among these countries, which in 2000, let's say in 2005, we want to find out which was the country that had the best air quality and the country which had the lowest air quality. Okay, let's see how we can do that. So click on this layer and click on this first icon in the layers panel. Okay, layer styling panel, first icon. So here you will get this tab. Okay, and here in single symbol, okay, just use this graduated. What graduated is or is not, it's not a part of today's discussion. We are going to discuss it in our later exercises. You just try to follow what I'm trying to explain here. Okay, so this is ESI, and let's click on classify. Okay, you see So the countries that have higher values, okay, that are represented in red, uh, I mean, they might have had this, higher, very good air quality, okay. And the countries with the lower value, for example, India. In India, we have, I think, this color, right? If I can match it correctly, or let's change the color ramp. Let's change it to this. Okay, so we had the air quality between 36 and 46 in India, okay, which is of course worse than other countries who have good air quality. Okay, so that is how you can use these vector features as a base map if you want to study, if you want to conduct your study in air quality. Okay, so I hope it is clear.